Scott Talley here from the worldwide headquarters of Network and Action. Worldwide headquarters. We can say that now.
We can.
We have Miss Cathryn Dall up in the great Northwest in Seattle, Washington. Hello, Cathryn. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Good to see you. My former Texan who moved to Seattle. Let's start there. So that was really crazy. Most people buy a franchise and they think about their warm market and how they're going to go be successful. And you, from a dead stop, give me the dates and times. When did you start your franchise and how many groups do you have today and all that?
Yeah, so I moved to Seattle in January of 2021. I think we moved on like, I don't know, something like January 15th. And by like the next week, I had purchased the franchise and was calling people, building out my groups.
Needless to say, you didn't know a soul except your husband.
Correct. I had one friend here.
He wasn't joining.
I had my husband and he wasn't joining. And I had one friend here and she also wasn't joining. So
you had to go to work and you built out in COVID.
Yes. So I was only going to do one group. I don't know if you remember that. I was just going to have one group. And after 2 weeks of calling people, I already had like a waiting list for the second group and realized, maybe I need two groups. So I built out two groups at the same time. I launched the first one in March of 2021 and the second one in April of 2021. And at that point here, we still couldn't, like dining was really limited to 20% occupancy. We couldn't have events. There were no in-person networking events. So yeah. It was definitely an interesting time, but I don't regret it. And then in October of 2021, I felt the need to start a virtual group. And I was really hesitant about it because, don't let the word get out, but I don't like networking virtually. And then I realized, oh, wait, I'm not the one networking virtually. I'm running those groups. Yes. And I definitely feel comfortable doing that. So I started building out that group kind of November time, about a year ago, exactly. And that launched in January. And wow, am I glad I did that.
Now that group is business owners and decision makers from around Washington State or around all of Seattle? Yeah.
Yeah, greater Seattle area. I want them to have some ties here to Washington State and do business here just so I can really be able to expand into multiple different industries and still find that support here locally. But man, that group has taught me some really interesting things. One, they taught me that virtual networking absolutely does work, and their engagement and commitment to the group has been really awesome to see.
That's fantastic. And so without putting words in your mouth, why do you think Network in Action works so well virtually when so many of them have not?
That's actually something I'd kind of been pondering over the past few weeks, is like, because I have recently attended some virtual networking groups to try to meet other people to help build out my own virtual groups. And I honestly hate it. I really just do not enjoy it. And I thought, what's so different that my members are enjoying this and seeing really fruitful relationships and business come out of it? And I realized it's the fact that most of these virtual networking events you can go to, you can just pop in. There's no membership, or there's maybe a pay-as-you-go fee. And so you never see the same people. So the reason these people are attending it is really just to sell to you and be done, not necessarily to build a super long-term relationship. And so I realized, oh, I'm not getting to see the same people. I'm not getting to know them. I'm not getting to learn about their business long-term. And I think that's what's so different about ours, is they have this core group of people that they're committed to helping grow, and they're in it together. And that's one huge piece of it. And then I think the second is our professional leadership, right? I'm invested in making sure those agendas are high quality for them, that they attend, that they do interact with one another. And in a lot of other virtual groups, you're not going to get as high touch with that.
Yeah, no doubt. And you've got the technology to keep them connected.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. If I ask you, like, why did you buy the franchise? What was the motivation for getting into Network in Action?
Yeah, so obviously you and I had worked together on franchise development. for a year before I ever started my franchise. And really it was the pandemic that made me want to start this, because during that time, over that year, I got to know franchise owners who were already doing this. I saw the impact they were having in their local communities, and how truly some businesses wouldn't have stayed in business if it wasn't for those relationships they had in network and action. And so when I realized we were moving to the Seattle area and that there wasn't any network and action franchise in the entire state, I knew I wanted to bring that here.
That's awesome. And now you've got 4 or 5 other counterparts in different parts of
Yeah.
Washington that y'all got a really nice core group. So I'm going to segue, go out of order a little bit here. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being super important, talk to me about what you just said in your lifetime and where you are today. Like, how important was that on a 1 to 10 making a difference in people's lives?
Well, I feel like a 10 just for my own personal impact for me, because without it, I wouldn't have the connections I do here today. I wouldn't be a business owner most likely. So just for me personally, it was a 10. For others, gosh, just to hear some of those connections and stories that they've made. One of my members, she had been in the insurance world for a significant amount of time, but never was a business owner in it, right? Had just always worked in the industry. And when she, when I met her, she was with a particular company and kind of working as an independent agent. And she joined the group, was really excited about it. And within a month or two, she actually decided to leave that company and start her own agency all on her own.
Wow.
And that was a big jump for her, right? So then fast forward a year to hear her say, like, she no longer has to buy leads, and all of her business comes through referrals and
Wow.
through the relationships that she's made through her networking and through network and action, was really impactful, especially for me to know it was actually able to impact her business.
That's awesome. I always say there's really, in my opinion, 3 reasons to buy a business. 1 is obviously the financial piece. 2 is to make a difference. And 3 is to have control of your schedule. So how is your schedule? Have you had any vacations?
Yeah, I would say a few.
And how does network and action allow you to do that?
So the nice part is, as long as I'm here the same time each month, for my monthly meetings, I host them all in the same week. So as long as I'm here for that second week of the month, I really can take care of everything else remote, right? I can meet with people over Zoom. I can attend events over Zoom. It's very flexible. So it allows me to be able to travel when I want, and to be able to take those vacations as well. And if you choose the right type of people in your groups, right? They really are there to help support one another. And so that's the fun part, is being able to help them.
And obviously financially you're doing well. So what do you think is the future of networking?
So I feel like there's been an interesting transition in networking. I feel like during the pandemic, everything went virtual, obviously, because we had to. Then after that, there's been some floundering in the networking community, because people really do want in person, and I don't think that'll ever go away. But they've gone back to exactly how they did in person before the pandemic, which necessarily doesn't always work for people. So I think you need to be able to offer some type of both in-person and virtual opportunities for people to kind of meet their needs and suit their schedules, because many of them can no longer put in the time or the drive time, or maybe their schedules have changed. So they need to be able to have options, whether it's an in-person group or a virtual group, meet their needs, right? And I think people are tired of meaningless networking that isn't really engaging or fruitful. And so I think as leaders in the space, we need to be really thoughtful and creative of why we're actually bringing those people together, and never lose sight of our purpose.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like we were told something for the last 38 years that this was networking. And I think what we're finding out is, maybe not so much. Maybe that's the way you define networking, but the way adults and business owners and decision makers want to come together and help each other is really quite different. It has to be more time efficient because people are busy. So talk in terms of a business owner. Why would you tell a business owner that it's important to go network?
Oh gosh, so many reasons, but one is you need that community of resources, right? So whether you're looking to grow your business or not, your clients are going to have needs. You personally, as a business owner, are going to have needs that you can't meet on your own. So it's so important to have that network of people that you trust and that you know and that you want to do business with, so you can tap into that resource, whether it's for yourself or for your clients. And I just find, entrepreneurship and being a business owner, it can be lonely sometimes, right? Because you might have staff, but they're not your coworkers. And so it's really nice to be able to go into a space where you can share and be completely open and really be able to help hash through things that you're wanting to focus on. So to be able to have that communication and connection with those people makes a huge impact.
Yeah, totally agree. It's like once these groups get beyond a certain point, these people become so close, and there is so much confidentiality, within the group that people do share, and I think they look forward to having a space to go to. I know I love my wife, but she doesn't care about my business when I get home at night. She wants to know what's going in tomorrow's lunch for the kids, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we always talk about our 6 primary differences of network and action, but pick one and talk about its significance to one of your members or to your members.
Honestly, my favorite is our professional leadership. I think it is game changer just from my experiences in attending other networking events or being parts of other groups, because that person is financially invested in the success of the group, as well as it is their business, right? So they're hand selecting those members. Do we get it right every time? No, but we're always working to improve that so that we're truly building a really robust group of business owners who want to help each other. I tell people I get to go out into the community and actually find business owners who I think are doing really cool things to impact the community or a service that's really needed out there. And then I get to bring those people together once a month, right? So I get to work with people I like.
Yeah, that's great. And it impacts the group. One of the things that's different, we've always heard about networking, that it takes time to know, like, and trust. And I don't disagree with that. But one of the things I've noticed, like with you, is that you're building a group of people and every single person trusts you.
Right.
So all of a sudden there's a transformation where when you bring someone into the group, the amount of time it takes for the rest of the group to know, like, and trust that person is expedited because you're bringing in like-minded people and you have so much credibility with the group.
Yeah.
That they, Cathryn wouldn't put a bag of egg in here. And so the like, trust, and no part is expedited.
Actually one of my members a couple months ago, he joined in August. Well, he visited a meeting in August and then joined and was officially a member in September. And he made the comment to me, he was like, wow, it's amazing how quickly people trust each other in here. And like, they were so open to already meeting with me and they just met me. He's like, I've never felt that in any other group. Usually people are really hesitant to, go on a one-on-one with you right away or have a coffee with you, if they don't know that much about you. And he's like, I've never felt that in any other group before.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've seen it over and over and over. So what would you say to someone? I'm going to ask you this 3 questions. What would you say to someone who today has another company they own, they're out there paying for networking, and they're thinking about buying a network and action franchise? What advice would you give that person? What have you experienced with other franchise owners?
Yeah, I think that the network and action franchise pairs perfectly if you are a business owner already, because one, it's a really fantastic place for you to network. And it just can really make sense with what you're already doing as a pair or add on for your services, especially if you're like in the consulting or service-based industry already and serve that B2B landscape. But I would say make sure, if that is the case, I guess my personal kind of insight is make sure you have the time, right? because you do need to be able to spend enough time to get your groups built out.
Especially the first year and a half.
Yes. Yeah. So like, don't try to start two businesses at the same time, right? Like, make sure that other business is okay. Yeah.
Totally agree. And then what about someone who's looking to segue out of a career and do network and action full time? Talk about that, or what you've experienced or seen.
Absolutely. I feel like I had already segued out of her career for me, out of corporate America. But I was actually struggling to find my fit then, right? Like, I knew things I wanted to offer and how I wanted to do that. And I did have a consulting business and I did have some clients, but I was really trying to figure out how to scale that. I think it's a great opportunity if you are looking to leave corporate, because you're going to be able to take so many of those things that you probably had in corporate that small business owners don't, and you're able to give them then access to that. So it's a really nice transition. Just obviously you have to understand you're starting a business, so make sure you financially can stay afloat while you build out that business.
That's right.
But the nice thing is you do get a pretty quick return on investment if you follow the model and build out your groups.
And if you're able to do that full time, it's all that much quicker.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I always say we have three types of franchise owners, and those are the three: people who jump in full time and they're fine. They learn to swim pretty quickly. Others who are trying to transition out of corporate, and typically I've noticed they end up leaving their job faster than they had originally planned. And then obviously the third type is people who keep their other company. So what would you say to someone looking at buying a franchise, getting awarded a franchise for Network in Action?
Yeah, I would say if they proceed with it, if it's the right fit for them, follow the model. That's advice for any franchise. There's a reason they are a franchise, right? Follow the Network in Action model. Don't get overwhelmed by small, minute details or trying to find the absolute best solution or technology or process out there. All those things are already at your fingertips and there for you. Build out your groups, get them really well established, and then go back and start to refine your processes or look for the next coolest technology that you want to use to,
make it go faster. Everybody's looking faster,
easier. Go even faster, but don't try to get bogged down with small details that at the end of the day isn't going to build out your group.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And then lastly, if you knew then what you know now, what would you do different, if anything? I mean, you were great at following the model. I mean,
thank you.
As a franchisor, we love that. But is there anything you do different?
Anything I do different? I have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, maybe there's not. That's okay too.
Yeah.
All right, too. So
maybe a lesson learned. Maybe what I wouldn't do different. Remember that anytime you get a no from a prospect, it just means someone better is around the corner.
Oh, that's great advice.
Don't stress out about it.
It is so true. It's so true. In the beginning, I remember going, "Oh my God, I needed that sale." No, you need the right person.
Yeah.
And
the members will appreciate that. They're not counting people in the room, right? They're more interested in the quality of person you bring in.
Wow, that's great advice, brother. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time with us. We appreciate it. Very valuable. And I hope you have a great week.
You as well. Take care.